Hi, and welcome to the second episode of The News. I'm your host, Gabriel Dye. If you happen to watch the first one, you might notice that things are a lot different. I realized the amount of time that needs to go into the editing was a lot more than I had bargained for, so I can't do it like that. I'm going to cut everything down, and I'm just going to get right into the stories. I thought about not even doing this podcast, but every time I read the news here in Korea, it's just so interesting, some of these stories, and I can't believe that they're not getting out. So I'm going to do it much lower quality, so bear with me. So our first story for today, I just read about a 27-year-old chicken shop owner who coerced, forced, and threatened over the course of 2 years 42 middle school students into working for him without pay, doing things like handing out leaflets late into the night. One of the students attempted suicide because of the situation. 3 of them got frostbite one day after being forced to work in freezing weather. So you're probably wondering, how did a 27-year-old chicken shop owner force middle school students to work for him for free? He told them he was a gangster. He said he was in a gang, and the students were scared. Upon police investigation, it turns out he's not in a gang, he's not in any of their lists, but the students didn't know any better. How were they to know? If you tally up all of the unpaid wages over the course of 2 years, it comes to about 50 million won. Our next one, unfortunately, this isn't a happy story either. Actually, this one is much worse. CCTV video these days is in every news story seems to feature some sort of CCTV. So I saw this on SBS. A 35-year-old guy met a girl in her 20s at a club in Seoul, and at around 6 a.m. Sunday morning, he brought her home to her door. The CCTV video shows that she's drunk and he's having to help her walk, and that was nice of him, and that's pretty much where the story heads south. He watched her punch in the password on her front door and memorized it. She went in, she lives alone, and the guy left, and then he came back a little while later with 2 of his friends, also in their 30s. The guy opened the door, they went in, and they raped her. The CCTV video shows them rushing out of the apartment sometime later. They hadn't even finished putting on their shoes. The girl filed a report with the police. The police, after watching the video, they caught these 3 guys, and all of them confessed. Okay, our third one for today is not quite as bad as the other 2, but it's still not good for some people. I'm sorry, I didn't specifically choose negative stories or stories about people who are sad or dead or raped or whatever. These are just the ones that keep coming up in the most commented and most viewed lists. So here's one. Starting July 1st, the Korean Air Force will be implementing a no smoking policy. Smoking will be banned both inside, of course, and outside of Air Force facilities. All the buildings, all the facilities, totally smoke-free. The order comes from the Air Force Chief of Staff, who's been working on a no smoking project. Seeing as how there will be no smoking facilities or rooms or anything provided, it's basically being criticized as an infringement of the basic rights of military personnel. So we might have more to add come July 1st. I'll keep you updated if something happens. Our final story is not the happiest one either. Hopefully for the next time we'll find some positive stories. These are just the ones that are, in the most popular, most commented on lists. This happened in Nyews. There was a 35-year-old man, and he dreamed of having his own convenience store. He worked at a convenience store. The owner ended up opening shop elsewhere, and they worked out a deal, and this 35-year-old guy became the owner. So accomplished his dream. The problem was business wasn't so hot. So for 6 months, this guy worked around the clock. He put a little cot in the store, and he literally lived there. He couldn't afford any sort of part-time help because he could actually barely pay for his own living expenses. So Sunday at 7 in the morning, he woke up. He opened up the drink refrigerator to cool himself off a bit. He sat down in a chair and he toppled over. His body was found 13 hours later by a customer. And as the #1 voted comment on this article says, if he wasn't found for 13 hours, I guess business wasn't that great. So, on that note, those are some of the most interesting news stories for today. Next time, like I said, I'll try to find something a little more positive. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.